But first, along with all the other issues, Australia's high immigration is making worse. There's also the housing crisis. Net overseas migration that ran at an all-time record of over 500,000 last year is putting upward pressure on house prices, downward pressure on wages and massive pressure on our infrastructure. Then there's a question about the readiness of some recent migrants to join Team Australia as opposed to just living in Hotel Australia. But there's a further immigration-related issue too, apart from just the cost of housing, and that's whether we even have enough housing to put a decent roof over everyone's head with current high levels of immigration and our low levels now of home construction. Research out from the Institute of Public Affairs suggests that natural population increases will create the need for around 70,000 dwellings per annum, while expected immigration rates will require the creation of almost 120,000 extra dwellings per year. Yet the latest figures show we'll be lucky to build 150,000 new dwellings, consistently short of the nearly 200,000 we need every single year. Now, the IPA says that very high immigration is, quote, setting us up for a humanitarian disaster, with a net housing shortfall of more than 250,000 dwellings likely over the next 6 years. The latest dwelling approval, says the IPA, shows we are simply not building enough homes for first-home buyers and new migrants alike, despite record intakes. Now, while approvals for apartments increased by 14% over the calendar year, approvals for detached houses, well, they fell by 10%, leading to an overall decline in dwelling approvals for the one-year period, despite the push from the government, of course, but that's all because of record population growth. Hence, we've got soaring house prices and high rentals, plus an extreme shortage of places to rent. Rents are going up around 10% per annum, so a lot more than wages are increasing. And as we reported last night, the national vacancy rate for rentals is now less than 1%. Again, this is because the federal government is pressing the accelerator on immigration, while state and local governments are pressing the brakes on dwelling approvals, or they're taxing property and land so hard that developers and landlords are selling up. In March 2021, for instance, there were 14,000 dwelling approvals. Yet since then, the numbers have fallen consistently, down to just 7,000 for January this year. Now, the ABS says we've got 29.5% of our population born overseas. That's a big jump. That's almost 30% of our population. Compare that with the US. UK and US, they're at 15 and 14% respectively. So it's no wonder that Australians want immigration scaled back, at least until our housing and infrastructure can catch up. Last December, polling for the IPA showed that 60% of Australians, they want immigration paused. Yet the Albanese government's still expecting at least 1.5 million new arrivals over the next 5 years. And the government's Help to Buy scheme, even if it works, which is doubtful, will help just 40,000 people into a home. Now, that's a mere rounding error on what's needed. Just like the government's energy policy, Labor's housing and immigration policies are creating yet another slow-motion train wreck. And they're doing it all just to pump prime GDP. Those numbers out today that show, on the face of it, Australia avoiding a recession. But the problem is, in per capita terms, so per head of population, we are already in a recession, and that recession just got deeper today.